Hello and good morning. This is B. West Jr. over at Endurance Productions. I just wanted to say a happy Saturday morning, and what better way to start a Saturday morning than doing some movie reviewage. As I said before in a prior vlog, we're going to keep the horror movie theme going for a little while before we get into the James Bond movies. Last night I took in a viewing of a horror classic that no horror buff should be without. I watched Dawn of the Dead, the original George Romero 1978 classic. I have in my collection the Anchor Bay DiviMax version. It has a cool audio commentary on there with George Romero, the well-known special effects artist Tom Savini, who a lot of horror buffs will know from other movies, Friday the 13th, you name it, he's done it probably. Others involved as well. Just wanted to say first about the story of this movie. What's always stuck with me, I know the movie's a little dated, it's from the 70s and everything of that nature, but if you sit back and you watch this movie, the thing I take away from it is its epic scale for no more than what the budget was. The budget, I think, was in the realm of $1 million, or probably a little less, from what I gathered from the audio commentary listening to it last night. For the budget involved and everything, that they had a 4-month shoot on this movie and all the parameters that they had to meet. You truly believe this movie is on an epic scale. You really believe that this epidemic is happening around the world, even though all you really see is an apartment building, a newscasting station, and of course the shopping mall, which is a character in and of itself in the movie. You truly believe that this epidemic is happening around the world, and just from showing it along the way after their escape from the city, and then they come to this shopping mall and try to hold up and take refuge there. It later shows a biker gang infiltrate the shopping mall after our little hero group take it over, and they basically ransack the place and just go on a big rampage trying to steal and get a lot of things that really don't hold any worth anymore, because there's zombies all over the world. The economic infrastructure of the continents are basically in total decline, whereas dollars don't have any worth anymore. Gold isn't worth as much anymore. Things like food and survival are worth more than that. But there again, George Romero's backstory point is these things, even though they don't mean much anymore, man is still holding on to that, and that is evident. That ultimately becomes his demise because of his holding on to these things that aren't really worth anything. Well, enough with being philosophical on that. That was the basic rant on the story there. It's a pretty good story. It does emulate Night of the Living Dead a little bit. They do hold up in a bigger place this time, a shopping mall. As with all horror buffs, I have to give one criticism to this movie. It's the gun store. I mean, this thing has been done to death on IMDb and other places like that. Even in the 70s, what mall would have a fully stocked, ammo and all, gun store just right there next to the cookie stand, But that's what adds a little charm to this movie, because, back in the day, I can remember growing up that Walmart and places like that, even Lowe's Hardware at one time, had shotguns and rifles available, so it's not that big of a deal. But there again, I think it's one of those things that should be pointed out, that not many commercialism-based malls and things of that nature are going to have a full-fledged gun store. In the remake, you'll notice that they put the gun store across the parking lot, so I thought that was a neat touch. So they kept it in there, but then they, changed it around a little bit. I guess I should get on to talking about the cool special effects that are in the movie. Of course, Tom Savini does the special effects for Dawn of the Dead. He then went on to do the original Friday the 13th, of which I'm also a fan. He did Friday the 13th Final Chapter, and just many more. I mean, probably uncountable at this point. He's done so many efforts in the special effects realm. He's become a master, if you will, of the craft. The only gripe that he had of his own on the audio commentary, which I thought was neat, and I've always thought the same, was the color of the blood that's used in the movie. He said they ordered the blood from a certain company, and basically the color was just like melted crayons, was his words, I believe. and it does. It's a very bright, bright color of consistency of red. I've never seen it since the 70s, but it just adds to the charm of the movie, I believe. Other things to be discussed on this DiviMax Anchor Bay version. Let me stop for just a second and say a couple words about Anchor Bay. I have to give it up for Anchor Bay. Let's give a little golf clap for Anchor Bay here. Anchor Bay, the company that does a lot of these DVD re-releases, they go around getting the rights for the DVD presentations for these old horror classics. I have to say, Anchor Bay in most cases does a very, very good job. It's like they have this cool knack for respecting the material, plus they scour the earth for all the little DVD extras that a lot of the major studios just they leave out. They just give a flat, they just put the movie on the disc and maybe throw a trailer on it, and that's it. Anchor Bay goes the extra mile. They'll go out and find these other things, and if they can't find too much as far as extras, they'll actually try to reassemble some of the crew and do a new audio commentary, which in many cases are very informative. I have to be honest, Anchor Bay did a very good representation on this, albeit there's not a whole lot in behind the scenes. They do have a very good audio commentary on here, which is very informative, as I said before. The audio commentary, the reason why I like this one so much is it really gives you the backstory on what they went through in making this film, and how they made it an epic scale movie for very little money. The things I liked about it the most, you can't make a movie like this for the money involved. What I thought was really neat, and the way that they pulled this movie together, is the family atmosphere that's discussed so much on the audio commentary. You try to do that today with independent film companies being bought up by major studios left and right. It's just about next to impossible. Believe me, I've contemplated trying to make my own movie, and I'm still working on it. With that being said, let's say, for example, for some examples out of this movie, if you need soldiers for some scenes in your movie, and U.S. Army gear for that matter, call the National Guard, see if they'll volunteer some guys. Those guys, I know for a fact, I'm a veteran of the U.S. military. They love being in movies, any chance they can get to show off their hardware, their trucks, their cannons, whatever they can show off. 1978, it was post-Vietnam, it was peacetime, there wasn't much going on, so yeah, these guys came out for the first scenes of the movie, weapons and all, full military dress. Well, another example, biker gang. Well, you sit there in planning, and you're like, where in the world are we going to get a biker gang for these scenes? Well, a friend of a friend knows a guy who rides on the weekends with this biker gang. Call them up, see if they want to be in a movie. They bring their own gear. They bring their own motorcycles. They pay for their own gas. You may have to feed them or something, but that's basically how you get a movie done. It's a collaborative effort on your family and friends. I mean, if you want to do a independent film, this is the way to do it. Now, funding was put up for the movie and everything, but in order to make it work on a grander scale like a big budget movie, this is the way to do it. So I have to give it up in conclusion. Dawn of the Dead, for the money involved, pound for pound, one of George Romero's best, if not the best that he's ever made. It's one of the great ones in my collection. Have to say it never gets old to me. It's a little outdated in clothing styles and things of that nature, cars and things of that nature from the 70s. But if you listen to the audio commentary, draw your own conclusion. I think you'll really enjoy it. If you've never seen it, you need to go out and get it. Go out and get it, or at least rent it. Take care, folks. We'll see you next time.